everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a bracelet today. It's going to be, I don't really know what to call it. It's kind of going to be herringbone and ladder stitch. And then I'm going to do some sections with these little 3 millimeter fire polish beads. I don't know what to call it, but I've been playing around with it. I think it's going to work. I've got my size 11, Miyuki size 11 galvanized silver seed beads. I've got 8's Miyuki Duracoat opaque crocus. And I got these little 3 millimeter fire polish beads, and I had them labeled. I've got so many fire polish beads that I don't have the label on them, but I had the label on this because I had to have got it from a Bead Crate subscription when I was subscribed to them, and the name of it is Metallic Crocus. So I decided, since this was called crocus and this was called crocus, that they needed to live together. So I'm gonna put them together. I've got a lobster clasp, a little bit of extender chain, some jump rings. I've got these 3-to-1 reducer things that I'm going to put on the end of it. And I've got one of the little fire polish beads. I've got a couple of ball head pins. I'm going to dangle one of the little fire polish beads off the end of the extender chain. And then I've got a little, I think that's a little butterfly. I think it's actually a spacer bead, but I'm going to put it on a ball head pin and make it a dangle. I've got 2 size 11 tulip beading needles here. I'll only be using one, but I always have an extra. Sometimes I use the extra when I add on thread, and I just always have one in case I lose one. I've got my Fireline and Smoke, 8-pound Fireline and Smoke, and I got my big 300-yard spool that I told y'all I ordered. I tried to look, like I said, I know before, I said, I know most of you are not going to want to buy 300 yards of Fireline because it's more economical for me to buy it that way because I use so much of it. But I tried to look around so that I could put links to the other yardages that they have. And they have a 125 yard, and I knew they had a 50 yard, but I always buy it at a sporting goods store because it's less expensive if you buy it from a sporting goods store than if you buy it from a beading supply store. But I couldn't find any of the 50 yard in a sporting goods store. They very well might have it, and I just couldn't find it because I have not exactly been on top of my game lately because I haven't felt well because of this tooth that I'm having trouble with. But I did find a 50 yard spool of the black satin on Aura crystals. That's where I get most of my seed beads. And it was, I think, 50 yards for $10 is what it was. This was 300 yards. This was $40. But I'll put a link. The black satin is the kind that the black doesn't come off on your hands too. So I'll put a link to all the different yardages they have in the description box below. So if you want to get some, you can look at those links. And I'll try to put links to everything else I'm using. I won't have links, of course, to these fire polish beads or these little 3-to-1 reducers. I don't remember where I got those. I've got my chain nose pliers and my bent chain nose pliers. The bent chain nose pliers I got from BB Craft many years ago. And I'll be using these to put my findings on at the end. And then most of these tools I'm only going to use when I make the dangles at the end. I've got both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. This pair is called Glitterline. I've got my cutters. These are Xuron, and I've got my tweezer pliers. These are Xuron too. I've got my round nose pliers and my beetle-on crimping pliers, and the crimping pliers, I use the little circular part there at the end to tuck in my wire when the burr that's left when I cut off my wire. their beetle on, and the round nose pliers I got from BB Craft many years ago. And I've got my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wire in when I cut it off. Like I said, most of that stuff I'll be using when I do the dangle at the end. Of course, I've got my scissors to cut my fire line. I think that's everything, so hold on and I'll get some of my beads poured out and I'll be back. Okay, I've got some of my beads poured out here, and like I've been doing, I've got some poured over here to the side that I'm going to be using so I don't have to reach across in front of y'all all the time. I've got my needle threaded. I'm leaving about a 12-inch tail because I'm going to come back and sew that 3-to-1 reducer thing on, and I don't know how much that's going to take, so I think 12 inches should be enough. So I'm going to start out with ladder stitch like I usually always do with herringbone. So I'm going to pick up 4 of my 8-ohs, bring them all down here to my stop bead. I'm going to go through the first 2. And it's going to put 2 8-ohs right next to 2 8-ohs. Now I'm going to go down these 2 8-ohs and back up these 2 8-ohs to reinforce. Back down these 2 8-ohs. I'm going to pick up 2 more. I'm coming out the bottom of these 2 8-ohs. I'm going to go in the top. Just ladder stitch these 2 on. Go back up the 2 new ones. Back down these 2. These 2 before the new ones, and back up the 2 new ones. So I've got 3 little sections of 2 8-ohs. I'm going to do it until I have 6, and I'll just do that off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got my 6 little sections of 2 8-ohs here, and I'm coming out the side that has my stop bead. I want to be coming out the other side. And I know I usually, when I do herringbone, I pick up a couple of 15-ohs or a couple of 11-ohs or something to decorate up the side and hide my thread, but I don't want to do that in this one. So I'm coming up this bottom 8-oh here. I'm going to go in this one right next to it to the left. Just that one. And then I'm going to come over here and come out this one, which is the one I'm wanting to come out so I can do my next row. And you can do that anytime you're doing flat herringbone. If you don't want to put that little decoration on the end, that's a way you can make your way back up there to where you need to be to do your next row. So now I'm just going to do a row of herringbone. I'm going to pick up 2 8-ohs, go from the top of this 8-oh into this 8-oh. Make my beads set with their holes facing up. I'm going to go up the next 8-oh in line. Pick up 2 more 8-ohs. Go from the top of this 8-oh into this 8-oh. Go up this next 8-oh in line. Now, I like to flip it before I put this last stitch in because it's easier for me to get good tension on it if I pull to the right. So now I'm going to pick up 2 more 8/0s. I'm going to go from this 8/0 into this 8/0 here on the end. Make my beads set the way I want them to. Now I'm not going to do this little decoration like I usually do, so I'm coming out this second 8/0 here, the middle one of these 3. I'm coming out the bottom. I'm going to go over here and go in this one right next to it, just the one bead. Like that. Won't be so hard to get through them from now on. That was just that was the row where I did the ladder stitch and I reinforced it a lot. It's got a lot of thread in it. Now I'm coming out the top of this 8/0 in the middle of this line right here. I'm going to come over here to the one on the end and go up this one on the end, which is the one I need to come out to do my next row. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 8/0s. Go from the top, this 8/0 down into this 8/0. I get my tail thread out of my way here. Now I'm going to go up this next 8/0. Pick up 2 more 8/0s. Go down this 8/0. Go up the next 8/0 in line. Pick up 2 more 8/0s. I'm going to flip it so I can pull to the right. Go into this last 8/0. I'm going to make my way back up there without putting my decoration on the side. So I'm going to go in this 8/0 right next to the one I'm coming out of. And I'm going to come over here and go up this last 8/0 on the end here. Now I'm going to do another row because I want to have 5 rows of herringbone before I start with my 3mm. So I'm going to do 2 more 8/0s. Go from this 8/0 into this 8/0. I go up the next 8/0 in line. Pick up 2 more 8/0s. Go down this 8/0. Arrange my beads. Go up the next 8/0 in line. Flip my work so I can pull to the right. Pick up 2 8/0s. Go into this last 8/0 here on the end. Arrange my beads. Now I want to get back up here to the top here, so I'm going to go into this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of. And go over here to this 8/0 come out this 8/0 on the end, which is where I'm wanting to come out. Now I'm going to start putting my 3mm fire polish beads in. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0, a 3mm fire polish, and an 11/0, 2 of my 8/0s, an 11/0, a 3mm fire polish, and an 11/0. That's what I got there. So now I'm just going to do like I always do with herringbone. I'm coming out this 8/0. I'm going to go into the top of this 8/0. I'm still doing herringbone. I've just got a bunch of beads on my needle instead of 2 like I usually do. So So that sets them there like that. Now I want to reinforce this, so I'm coming out this 8-0 here. I'm going to go in the bottom of this 8-0 next to it and up all these beads. And make sure to get through all the beads and don't let your needle sneak out. Till I come out that top 8-0 on the right there. Now I'm going to go over here and go down all these beads. And come out that bottom 8-0 there. Now I'm going to go over here and go up this 8-0. Just like when I do herringbone. Now I'm going to pick up an 11-0. 3mm fire polish. An 11-0. 2 8-0s. 11-0. 3mm fire polish and 11-0. Now I'm coming out this 8-0 here. I'm just going to go down in the next 8-0 next to it, just like we're doing herringbone. Now I want to reinforce this, so I'm going to go over here to this 8-0 next to the one I'm coming out of. I'm going to go up all the beads. Make sure to get through all the beads till I come out that 8-0 at the top there on the right. Now I'm going to come over here to this column and I'm going to go down all these beads. Until I come out that 8-0 underneath all the beads there. Now I'm going to go over here and come up my next 8-0 in line here. Pick up an 11-0, 3mm fire polish, 11-0, 2 8-0s, an 11-0, 3mm fire polish, and an 11-0. Now I'm coming out this 8-0. I'm going to go into this 8-0 here on the, I'm going to flip my work first so I can get a pull to the right. I'm going to go into this 8-0 here on the end. Now I want to reinforce this, so I'm going to go into the 8-0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Go up all these beads. You don't have to get them all at once if you need to just do it one at a time or a few at a time. I'm going to turn it back around here to get a good enough angle on it to get up through there. I'm coming out that top 8-0 there. And I'm going to go over here and go down all these beads. And come out that 8-0 underneath all of them. Now I need to get back up here to the top where my 8-0s are. So I'm going to go over here and go in this 8-0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Go back up all the beads. Should be coming out that 8/0 there. Now I want to sew all my little towers here together. So I'm coming out the top of this one. I'm going to go in the top of this one. Go down all the beads and come out the 8/0 at the bottom. I'm going to go over here and go up this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of and go up all these beads. Now I'm going to come over here. I want to sew this tower to this tower, so I'm going to come over here, go down all these beads. Come out that bottom 8/0. Now I'm going to come over here and go up the 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Go up all these beads. That gets all my little columns with my 3mm fire polish straightened up. Now I'm going to do herringbone. I'm going to pick up 2 8/0s, go into this 8/0, go up the next 8/0 in line, pick up 2 more 8/0s, go into this 8/0, go up this 8/0, pick up 2 more 8/0s. I'm going to flip my work so I can pull to the right. Go in this 8/0 here on the end. I'm not going to put a decoration on the end. You can if you want to. I just didn't want to in this one. So I'm going to go over here and go up this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Then I'm going to go over here and come out this one on the end. So I can do my next row of herringbone. Now I'm going to do 3 more rows of herringbone because I want 5 between my little sections of 3mm beads. So I'm going to do 3 more rows and then I'll be back and do another row of the 3mm fire polish with you. So I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I've got 5 more rows of my herringbone done here. So now I'm going to do my section with my fire polish beads. So I'm going to pick up a 11/0 fire polish and 11/0, 2 8/0s, an 11/0 fire polish, and an 11/0. And I'm coming out the top of this 8/0 right here on the end. I'm going to go in the top of the next one. Now I'm going to reinforce this. I'm going to go over here, go up this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of, and go up all the beads, and come out that top 8/0. Now I'm going to go down all these beads, and come out that 8/0 on the bottom. I'm going to go up this next 8/0 in line here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0, fire polish, an 11/0, 2 8/0s, an 11/0, fire polish, and an 11/0. And you can use, you don't have to use fire polish. You could use a 3mm bicone, or probably a 2x3mm rondelle would work. So I'm going to go down into this 8/0. I'm going to go over to this, into this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of, and go up all the beads. And come out that 8/0 on the top there. I'm going to go down, go down this column, go down all these beads. Come out that bottom 8/0. I'm going to go over here and go up this 8/0. Pick up an 11/0 fire polish, an 11/0, 2 8/0s, 11/0 fire polish, and an 11/0. I'm going to go from the top of this 8/0 into this 8/0 here at the end. Now I want to reinforce, so I'm going to come over here to this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of and go up all the beads. Come out that 8/0 at the top. Over here to this column, go down all these beads. I'm coming out the 8/0 at the bottom. I need to get back up here to the top so I can sew my towers together. So I'm going to go into this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of, go up all the beads. I'm coming out that 8/0 at the top there. Now I'm going to connect this column to this column, so I'm going to go down this line of beads. I'm coming out the bottom 8/0 there. I'm going to go up this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of and go up all these beads. Now I'm going to sew this column to this column, so I'm going to go down all these beads. Come out the 8/0 at the bottom there. I'm going to go over here to this 8/0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Go up all these beads. Now I'm just going to do 5 more rows of herringbone and then another section of my 3mm and 5 more rows of herringbone until I get the length I want. And when I get the length I want, I'll come back and we'll sew on the 3-to-1 reducer thing. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got the length that I want now. Now I'm going to try to sew on this little 3-to-1 reducer thing here. First I'm going to sew my towers together. So I'm coming out this 8/0 here. I'm just going to go down this one. Go down 2 of them. And I'm going to go up these 2. And then come back down, come back over here and go back down these 2. Go over here and go back up these 2. Now I'm going to go down, pull that up tight there. Now I'm going to go back. Now I'm going to go down these two. Now I'm going to go over here and go up these two. I'm going to come back over here and go back down these two. And go back up here and go up these two. Now I think that second one from the end is where I want to be. Maybe not, no. Well, it'll be alright. I'm going to pick up one of my 11-ohs in my little component here, and I'm going to go through one of the loops on the end there. Now I'm going to come back down the 11-oh. I'm going to go in these two here on the end. I'm going to go back up these two, back up the 11-oh, back through my loop, back down the 11-oh, and back down these two on the end here. Careful not to get hooked around your component there. That just kind of centers that little 11-oh between those two 8-ohs. Now I'm going to go back up these two. Back up my 11-oh. Back through my loop, back down the 11-oh, back down these two on the end here. Now I'm going to go back up these two. Down these two, back up these two, now I'm going to sew an 11-oh to my second little loop there, just like I did the first one. So I'm going to pick up an 11-oh, go through my loop, come back down through my 11-oh, back down these two, .11ohs here, and my phone just went off. Apparently my husband thinks it's vital to message me while I'm doing this. And he never fails. He does it every time I forget to mute my phone. Now I'm going to go back up these two. Back up the 11-0. Back through the loop. Back down the 11-0. Back down these two 8-0s here. I'm going to go back up these two 8-0s. Back up the 11-0. Back through my loop. Back down the 11-0. Back down these two 11-0s. I mean 8-0s. Back up these two 8-0s. Now I'm going to go get over here into these last two rows of 8-0s to do my last loop. I'm going to go down these two. Go up these two. Pick up an 11-0. Go through my loop. Come back down my 11-0. And into these other two 8-0s. I'm going to go back up these two 8-0s. Back up the 11-0. Back through my loop. Back down my 11-0. Back down these two 8-0s. Back up these two 8-0s. Back up this 11-0. Back through my loop. Back down through my 11-0. Back down through these two 8-0s. So now I've got all three of those 11-0s sewed onto my little end thing here 3 times, so they're on there real good. They're not gonna go anywhere. Now I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop a minute before I sew in this thread and see what is so vitally important that my husband keeps messaging me. I'll be back. Okay, I got him taken care of and told him not to be bothering me no more. So now I'm just gonna tie 3 half-hitch knots here and end off my thread. I'm going to do this thread bridge here. Go through my loop. Pull my thread down slowly. Go through a couple more beads. Go under this thread bridge. Go through my loop. Pull my thread down slowly. Go through a couple more beads. Go under this thread bridge. Go through my loop. Pull my thread down slowly. Now I'm going to go through a couple more beads here and cut off my thread. So now I got this little end on here. Now I'm going to take my stop bead off this other end and do the same thing with my other reducer thing here. And then I'll come back and we'll put the clasp on. Okay, I've got both my ends sewed on here. And I said to leave, I left a 12-inch tail at the beginning, and that was enough, but it was just barely enough. So it might be better to leave more like 14 inches of tail when you start this. So now I'm going to make my little dangles to go on my extender chain. I already did the little butterfly. And I just wire wrapped it like I'm going to do these fire polish beads. I put a little 11/0 silver bead at the top there to kind of fill that crevice in between the butterfly wings, because it's sort of makes it easier to wrap that way. And since I had extra fire polish beads, I decided to do, I'm going to do 2 on here instead of 1. So I'm going to do a fire polish bead and an 11/0 and a fire polish bead and an 11/0. I'm going to take my pliers, go to the tip of the pliers, make a 90-degree bend over the pliers, take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Bring this wire up and under until it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the beads. Take my bent chain nose pliers. Hold on to my loop. Take my other bent chain nose pliers. Start my wraps. Just wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'll take my crimping pliers, and I'm going to tuck in my little burr. I'm going to be real careful because that little 11/0 is on the end there, and it will very easily break. So you got to do this real gently. Now I'm going to open the end of open one of my end links here on my extender chain. This is about 1.5 inches of extender chain. And I'm going to thread on my little fire polish dangle and my little butterfly. Close it back up. That's my little dangles I got there. I'm going to take a 6mm jump ring. Open it up. Put on one side of my, put my toggle clasp on here. Close my jump ring back up. Now on this end, I've got a 8mm jump ring. Put my other side on here. Add my extender chain. Clasp it together here and see what we've got. So there we go, a little herringbone bracelet with 3mm fire polish beads included in it here. I've never made one like this. It's the first for me. So hold on, I'll get some of my beads cleaned up and I'll be back. Okay, there we go. There's my little bracelet. I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.